So, Carol, I mean, it's a great irony with you, isn't it? Because you were so desperate to escape the draconian restrictions going on here. So you head over to your house in France, only for Macron to up the stakes even more.
Yeah, it was a shock, actually, that when he made the announcement, I was watching it on the TV and I genuinely felt quite ill, actually. It made me feel physically sick listening to what he was saying. Because I couldn't believe that he was doing it. I couldn't believe that he was bringing it in so quickly. And remember that last year, Macron went on the television and said to everybody, we need to get back to our culture, to our freedom, to our lives, to being French. And he said all of that. And then suddenly he's saying, right, you can't go anywhere without this pass sanitaire, they call it, is the COVID pass thing. And at the moment, it's not about, you don't have to have had the 2 jabs, but you have to have either had a test or you have to have the antibodies and proof of that for an infection within 6 months. And it's not just, the problem is, look, I can deal with not going into restaurants, and I still think there will be quite a lot of restaurants and establishments that will ignore it because people feel very, very strongly about it here in France. But it's the fact that you can't even go into a hospital or a medical establishment without the pass or without a test or without something to say that you're not infected. And it's imagine if you want to go for a test, you've got to get a test to be able to go for a test. So I mean, it just is so difficult. Life is getting very, very difficult here, and I never thought it would happen. And yeah, when I left the UK to go back to France in January, I was escaping draconian restrictions, and they were lifted earlier here in France. But then I came back to London in June, and things were being relaxed there a little bit. But they had been here for a long time, and there were hardly any restrictions. A few places were still wearing masks in the street, but yeah, I'm quite worried about the future because it's obvious he's not taking any notice of the massive protest that you just mentioned, 250,000 plus, not just in Paris. This is in almost every city and town in the whole of France, nearly 180 towns and cities, I think, in the whole country. And even in the smallest villages, people are out there marching against the pass.
Now, Finlay on GBNews asks, how successful do you think anti-lockdowners have been in Britain?
Oh, I don't think they've been successful at all. I honestly, I know that more and more people are getting angry about the passports and anti-lockdowns, but I just think they're being ignored, and I think it doesn't matter what they do. It's like here in France, where they just ignore the protesters. The protests are absolutely massive here, really huge, and nobody seems to be taking any notice or giving a hoot what they think. All these people, and no anti-lockdown protesters or even people with those views. I mean, most of us, a lot of people in the media, not just me, have been anti-lockdown right from the start. For the reasons that I said earlier, but no, I don't think they've been successful. But the fact is, like you say, Dan, we've got to keep fighting these things. We've got to keep fighting the fact. No, you don't want to have to show papers to walk into a pub. And I don't know if you saw in the news today, in Paris, the police were literally going around cafes and checking people's passes and their ID cards. Now,
it's unbelievable.
It really is, and it's upsetting actually, because you look at it and you think that's not really a country I want to live in anymore.